There's an excitement about the album. I'm very happy with it. I hope when people hear it, they'll like it. The one thing that you'll recognize when you hear the album is that I am obviously in my comfort zone. It's stuff I love. It's stuff I've always wished I'd got first. I mean, I still go through that. I still, every now and then you hear a record and you think, oh, it's like when Adele came out with, "We should have had it all." I'm thinking, I should have had this song. You want everybody else's big hits.
Absolutely.
I'm just selfish and greedy.
How much fun was it to go back on tour? Is that somewhere that you've always felt comfortable?
Touring is fabulous because you get that, it's a vibe you can't get anywhere else, where you come out and you see thousands of people and you know they're only there because you've come into their town. And that's a fantastic feeling, and it's an excitement, and you start playing. So I like touring, but touring brings along with it a massive pressure that usually in Britain, for instance, the tradition, I don't know how this happened, the tradition in Britain is we tour somewhere between October and February, March, right smack in the middle of winter. And I've been on tour where there's been a flu epidemic and I'm thinking, oh, please don't let me get this. And every morning you wake up, I wake up, it's funny, even now I can't stop doing it. Whenever I wake up, I go, I try to sing, and I think if I can get the falsetto now, it'll be all right later in the day. And so you're constantly praying, oh, please let it be all right for tonight.
Would you consider mentoring maybe young pop stars today or rock stars? Is there anyone that you...
Yeah, I'm not sure I'd be the right person to do it, but yes, thinking about it, if I was to stop tomorrow, I think I might be of benefit to some young up-and-coming singer, because I've been there, done that. There are things that I know absolutely for sure work. I know some things that absolutely for sure don't work. So I might be helpful to somebody, but the thing I think I would offer most is that it would have to be an artist, not just a good artist, but a really nice person. So I would have to go through a personality test, because I was brought up with all my production managers and my personal manager. They loved us. The Shadows and me, they loved us. They wanted us to be happy people. And that's what I would want for my artists. You make an artist feel really happy, they'll succumb to your advice. And even the Beatles were 5 years after the Shadows and I, but even they were held by someone who really was concerned about them as people, really liked them as people and as artists. And I had that same thing 5 years before. And I believe that's the best way to bring about longevity for an artist. But in the end, it's in your own hands. You can have all that love and all that protection, and if you're crap, bye.
On the flip side of that, you've then got the incredible media speculation that people in the X Factor get, and I suppose One Direction, Miley Cyrus at the moment. There is this incredibly intense speculation. Of course, you've lived through that for many years. The Beatles did, the Shadows. How do you feel that people today deal with that? Do you think it's much worse, or would you have any tips for?
I think people, the media particularly perhaps, are more easily persuaded to hone in on what would seem to be controversial, rather than something that might be good. And it's part of our society. We tend to have been blown into a rather negative approach to things, it seems to me that we don't have enough. I once said to a press, they said, tell me about all the things that are wrong with you. I said, no, I'd rather not. I'd rather tell you what's really right with me. And I've said to them, I've sat on my hands sometimes because I wanted to punch, not you, but I wanted to punch a journalist because they've been so impertinent. And I'm thinking, how dare they ask me these questions? My best friends don't ask me things like that. And I said, but I'd rather show them the triumph of humanity rather than the failures that we all have. We all have these failures, they're all there, but why air them and why hone in on them? In the case of Miley, I still feel that she's just a girl, a rather attractive girl, who's obviously pretty gifted, who's coming through adolescence. My sisters have told me that all their children, it was really tough getting them through teenage years, really difficult. They had difficult times with all of them. So why should Miley be any different? I just hope that she'll be quickly mature enough to see, I don't need this. I don't have to do this. If you're good looking, I always say, for instance, in the past there's been all sorts of people that have come through that have, what's the word? They've exposed their sexuality. And I've always said, there was more sensuality in Olivia Newton-John in a full gown than most people who have pointed bras. So that's the way I feel, you know, and I think it's true. I think that quite often we spoil things by losing our sensuality because we've become so sexually orientated, and I don't think there's any need for it. As I say, Miley looks like a very attractive young girl. She's got great movements and stuff. Okay, control them and just make people want more. Don't give it all to them.
What would your personal triumphs be, either for the year or for what's coming up next or for your career?
Well, you can see triumph in different ways, really, but I suppose the biggest triumph is that I've survived the years and that I can still smile. I don't think I'm damaged. You know, I've managed to get through by doing what I wanted to do and taking advice for people, and sometimes doing things I'm thinking, oh, all right, try, oh, good, it worked. And I think if you can actually get through to a point in your life where you say, I'm happy with what I am, who I am, where I am, what I do, that's triumph for me.